Okay, here's another question where we're starting with an f of x and a g of x, and we've got to do compositions and inverses and stuff. First question, the range of f. Okay, if you've got the range of one of the given functions to worry about, the way to think about that is by sketching the graph. So this is a graph that from core 1 you should have no problem sketching. And remember, the range is the set of possible outputs, the y values. So think about that graph and the y values that it can take, and describe the range either using y, or even better, by talking about f of x. Don't use x to describe the range. Part B, the first part, we've just got to find the inverse function g of x. There's what g of x, that's the method from examples 2a and 2b of your notes, shouldn't be a problem. Then we've got to talk about the range of g inverse. Now the range of an inverse function, you don't need to worry so much about a graph, because when you go from a function to its inverse, range and domain change places. So if you know the domain of g, which you do, then the range of g inverse corresponds exactly to that, except don't describe it using x, talk about the range of values g inverse of x can be, or if you really must, talk about y, but not about x. And then in part C we've got to get h of x, which is gf, a composite function. That's a standard method from your notes, it's examples 1a and 1b. And then c.e2, the greatest possible domain of h, is one of the trickier marks you'll see on a core 3 paper. What we're after is the values we're allowed to feed into h. But h itself is made up of g and f, and gf of x means g of f of x. So to find out what values of x you're allowed to feed into h, first of all you think x is being fed into f of x. What values am I allowed to feed into that? Well, that's not going to be a problem. But then there's a second wrinkle in it, because the answer to that is got to be suitable to be fed into g of x. And g of x has got a restricted domain, there's a prohibited value of x. So what you have to do is work out what original x, once fed into f, gives this prohibited value here for g of x, and that's the value that has to be excluded when thinking about the domain of h. And that's quite a bit of thinking to get 1 mark, but that's how you do it.